was never a man of wealth or influence, just a father whose entire life was bound to the chains of hard labor. My hands were always rough, cracked with blisters, and my back was bent from years of carrying burdens heavier than my own body could endure. Yet inside me, I carried a dream, not for myself but for my children. I wanted them to walk roads that I had never stepped upon, to sit in places where I was never welcome, and to have voices that carried strength while mine remained hidden in silence. Among all of them, my daughter stood out. From her earliest days, she was different. Her eyes shone with intelligence, her questions were endless, and her confidence was unshakable. I still remember how she would stand before a mirror, clutching a small stick as if it were a lawyer's pen, pretending to argue a case. "Your Honor, I stand for justice," she would say with such seriousness that it would make me laugh and at the same time fill my chest with pride. I told myself again and again that this girl was meant for something great. I decided, even if it broke my bones, I would make her dream come true. But dreams are expensive, and mine cost me everything. When she went to school, I worked double shifts to pay her fees. I patched my own torn clothes and wore shoes with holes, but I never let her feel that she lacked anything. As she grew older, the expenses grew heavier. I sold my wife's gold bangles for her college admission, telling my wife, "What is gold compared to our child's future?" My wife wept, but I was determined. Later, when the university demanded more than I could manage, I sold the small plot of land that was my father's last gift to me. Relatives told me I was foolish. They laughed and said, "A daughter will eventually marry and leave. Why waste your inheritance on her?" I ignored them. In my heart, I was certain that education could never betray a man, and that my daughter's success would be my greatest reward. Every night I watched her study under a dim lamp. She barely noticed the tiredness in my body, the sacrifices piling up on my shoulders, or the hunger that often gnawed at me when I gave her the last portion of food. Yet I did not mind. Her books were my pride. Her sleepless nights were my joy. I whispered to myself, "One day this girl will hold my hand and say, 'Baba, you don't need to work anymore.'" That thought was enough to keep me alive. And then the day of pride finally came. She wore the black coat and white collar, standing tall with confidence. When I saw her like that, a real lawyer, my heart almost burst with happiness. The neighbors gathered and congratulated me. "You are a lucky father," they said. "Your daughter will bring you honor and security." I walked among them with my head high, for the first time feeling that all my years of pain had meaning. But pride is a fragile thing, and mine shattered sooner than I could imagine. It began with papers, official documents full of complicated words I could not read. At first I thought they were mistakes, some clerical error. But then I discovered the truth. My daughter, the very one I had raised with every drop of my sweat, had filed legal claims on my property. Every inch of land, every house, every piece of my life's labor was written in her name. I could not believe it. My heart refused to accept what my eyes saw. When I confronted her, my voice shaking, I asked, "What is this? Tell me it is not true." She looked me in the eyes, her face calm, her voice cold, and she said, "Baba, all of this is mine now. You gave me education, and this is the return. I have the right to it, and the law is on my side." Her words stabbed me deeper than any knife could. I staggered as if the ground beneath me had vanished. This was my daughter, my little girl, the one I had carried on my shoulders when she was too small to walk. This was the same child who once kissed my forehead and said I was her hero. And now she stood before me, not as a daughter but as an enemy, armed with the very knowledge I had given her. The matter went to court. The villagers could hardly believe it. Some whispered behind my back, some mocked me, and some pitied me. On the day of the hearing, I stood outside the courtroom, my heart heavier than ever before. My daughter was there, wearing her lawyer's robe, holding files, speaking with other lawyers. She did not even glance at me. Inside, when the judge arrived, she stood and presented her arguments with confidence. Her voice was sharp, professional, and every word cut into me like a blade. She spoke of laws, of rights, of documents. She was brilliant, everything I had hoped she would be, but she was brilliant against me. Her success was my destruction. I wanted to cry out to tell the judge that she was my daughter, that I had built her with my own sacrifices, that without me she would never have been here. But the court does not hear the cries of a father's broken heart. It only listens to the voice of law. And so I lost. Piece by piece my property was taken away. The house that held my memories, the land that carried my blood and sweat, all of it was stripped from me. And the hand that took it was the hand I had raised in prayer to the sky every night. People talked, some said, education brings light but sometimes it becomes poison. Others said, this is what happens when you invest too much in daughters. I no longer answered anyone. My silence was my only companion. Now I sit in a corner of an almost empty house, staring at walls that echo with loneliness. I see her shadow everywhere. The little girl who once tugged at my sleeve, the teenager who proudly showed me her report cards, the young woman who promised to make me proud. I wonder where she went, or was she ever really there? I ask myself over and over, was I wrong to sacrifice everything for her? Was my love blind? Was I a fool to believe that education alone guarantees loyalty and gratitude? Today I have nothing left, not my land, not my wealth, not even the smile of the daughter who once called me her hero. All that remains is a question that gnaws at my heart day and night. Is educating your children always a parent's greatest success, or can it sometimes become the deepest wound a parent will ever carry? And with that question, I live out my days broken, forgotten, and betrayed by the very dream that once gave me life.